So, here I am in my kingdom of Sarracenia flavas and a lot of other plants behind me. These are mostly hybrids. This is our absolute favorite time of year. I know I've been saying that for at least the last 3 check-ins. But here we are again in our Savage Garden seasonal check-in, June. It's still barely hanging on to spring. Summer is definitely in the air, but all the Sarracenia still have this amazing, vivid glowiness to them, which I absolutely live for. You know, whether they're red or whether they're green, they're just glowing this time of year. And honestly, these sunglasses are polarized, so they look even extra better. I just walk around with my blue tinted glasses, if you will, and just enjoying the beauty. And you should too. This is what all the hard work is about this time of year. I know I come out in the winter and look at these things sometimes and go like, you know, are these ever going to look good again? And I've done this for 35 years, so I know you feel that sometimes too. So just enjoy the splendor of all these plants. All the Sarracenia crossing is done now, so now there's just thousands of amazing seeds ripening all around us, which is also really exciting, going around and checking pods and seeing what's all happening. And then in the nursery, we've hit a couple huge milestones. The first one I'll talk about is I know, blustery day, I'm gonna lose this hat for sure. I know that we've fallen a little behind on the mail order. I know you guys have noticed, usually we try to get things shipped out in like 3-7 days, but lately we've been more like 2 weeks. And that's not for lack of trying. Our small crew has been all hands on deck packing mail order. I've been pulling all the pings, packing all the pings personally. Daniela's been in the office shipping, but all that is about to stop because we finally hired some more help. We have 2 new employees in the mail order department and a new employee in the potting department, which brings us up to 12 employees. I know some of you think that we're the Amazon of carnivorous plants, but we're really not. We're just a super successful little family-run business that, just like all the other small boutiques that you guys love to support, we're just one that's a little bit more successful than all the others. So don't forget to support us. We're not a giant conglomerate or anything. And now we're up to 12 employees, but honestly, that's mostly happened over the last couple of years. Before that, we were mostly a crew of 5 or 6 people, all kind of gently killing ourselves all the time in a monkish sort of a way to get all this done. But now I'm starting to finally like take a deep breath, and I feel like after decades of doing this, because there was a point when I pretty much did all this by myself, we finally have enough help. And so we're catching up on that mail order like crazy. Keep those orders coming in. I think we're down to like 7 to 10 days out right now. By the end of the week, that'll probably be even better. And then I think we'll be back to our Johnny on the spot, getting those orders out for you right away. Speaking of orders, Shopify just notified us that we have hit our 100,000th order shipped, which is a major accomplishment for such a small little carnivorous plant farm. I still can hardly believe it myself. But obviously that number is all about you guys. So thank you so much for all of your support from everyone here. You're supporting a amazing, diverse crew of people that absolutely love what we do here and are working super hard every single day to bring you our passion and these beautiful, beautiful plants. Speaking of beautiful plants, let's go look around at some other ones. I got this amazing, huge plant. I mean, it wasn't huge at the time, but I got this plant when I was 16 years old, which is 30 years ago. And we haven't repotted it in probably a decade. It's insanely healthy. But I wanted to use this as an example for a few more things not to freak out about. One of them is dividing. Not every plant needs to be divided. I see people all the time, oh, that plant needs to be divided. That plants need to be divided. And unless you want to make 1,000 of these things, because if I divided this would be flats and flats and flats and flats of this flava. And I want to see how big it's going to get as I continue to get older with it. So I'm just going to let it keep getting bigger. But nobody divides them in the wild, and you absolutely don't have to divide a plant. Even in the center here, the rhizome, you can't even get to the center. The center hasn't rotted out. It's still insanely healthy. Another thing is nectar burn. There is nectar, droplets of nectar lining the top of these lids all the time. And although they are beautiful and made to attract, there's also a utilitarian purpose here. They're making nectar to attract bugs so that they can eat them. And they don't really care if they get some nectar burn. You can see it starting there. That's not a fungal problem. What that is a lensing of a droplet of nectar that is then magnifying in the sun and gently, sometimes burning, but usually just creating a little red spot at first. And then that might turn into a brown spot. But the plant, that's just part of its life cycle. That's just how they look. Don't freak out about that. Another thing I don't want you to freak out about is flumpy pitchers. As long as it's getting enough light, a few flumpy pitchers are totally normal. Ugh. You don't have to worry about it. You could cut it off, who cares? Or you could stake it up if you really want to hang on to it, and it's maybe not a giant plant, so you want to hang on to this pitcher. You could stake it. You could wrap a, little bit of gardener's tape around the whole thing to kind of hold it all up, or make some wire contraption if you want to. But again, nobody's doing that in the wild, and flumpy pitchers are totally normal. Don't freak out about these things. You can email us about it as often as you want, but we're always going to say the same thing. Don't freak out. Here in Flytrap Country, USA, our amazing Venus flytrap collection is really starting to come into its own. And so are those flytraps that we're mailing out to you guys. You know, I think a lot of people go, it's summer, why aren't these things growing? And as you can see, they're getting up to peak growth, but it's a slow getting up to peak growth. Don't expect these things to just be up in April. That's absolutely not how they work. I'm still fighting flowers. The last few years, I've just been letting all of them flower, and we've been collecting all those open pollinated seeds. But I think even my giant seed fridge can't hold any more flytrap seeds right now. So we're really bringing that down. And if you want your flytraps to look a little bit better, have more traps, bigger traps faster, it's a good idea to cut these away. So I'm not doing that on all of them, because don't worry, I'm still crossing plenty of these plants. And I'll show you that next. But if you just trim these at the base, then all of those traps are going to grow way faster. If you do this with your fingers, they will absolutely stain your thumbnail black. Mine are always black from peat moss and everything else. But they're weird little stainers, and so we call that the black thumb. So if you want to pinch them with your finger, you absolutely can. Let's head into the greenhouse, and I'll show you how my breeding program works. So these are the fly traps that I'm not cutting the flowers off of. We've done lots of breeding here for years and years, and so even though there's so many out there that I absolutely love, at this point I'm kind of on a quest to make very specific crosses, and that's why I brought all of these in. We have some really cool ones. This is were clam. I've also been collecting like crazy, just like you guys. I'm the, I'm a crazy collector too. So I'm out there adding all kinds of new things. It's getting a little harder for me to find those new things that we don't have, but I still search far and wide. So we have a lot of green jaws things. These are like Bloody Nurse, Hellcat, with these amazing edges. And what I'm going to do is mostly cross these with reds and giants. So these weirds I'm crossing with reds and giants, because wouldn't we like a giant red were clam? I know I would. So that's what we're doing here. Yes, Venus flytraps have flowers for your noobs. They're these little white guys here. And when the stigma becomes kind of feathery like that, that's when I'll put pollen on there. We've done a million videos about exactly how all that works, but that's the process. And then we could probably march right on over here. Let's give it a shot. We'll walk past all these Jeremiah Harris Venus flytraps that are all shipping out now. If you haven't ordered them yet, definitely get on our webpage. We're probably won't have a diversity like this again for a couple of months. We do have some other orders coming in that'll flush it out again, but these are all going to sell out very quickly. Probably half of them are sold out already. So get on that webpage and order these if you want to add to that flytrap collection. I know you do. So over here, we have last year's seedlings. Believe it or not, all of these guys were all sown last year. So we sped this whole process up to get you guys new, amazing, cool cultivars faster. If you did these at home, it would probably take you 6 or 7 years to get to this point. Maybe a little faster if you're fertilizing gently. But so all of these are either individual clones, like this is all a clone, but then over here we have individual seedlings. So every single one in here is a different clone. And just like with everything else, I'm growing as many different plants as possible so I can sift through those and find the very best ones and give those names, and those become our Calcarn exclusive Venus flytrap cultivars. Just like everything else, I do that with these too. There's some real amazing ones popping up in here already. We don't necessarily have the parentage at my fingertips yet because there's still tissue culture codes on there. They all get a code at first, and then I'll get the, before they get to you, don't worry, we'll get the parentage figured out. But I don't have it all at my fingertips right now. This one is definitely a werewolf type cross. You can see these amazing curved teeth. It looks like they're gonna be pretty darn red inside. And even a small size, we're already seeing that. All of those are the exact same clone. Over here, instead of moving, I think I'm just gonna grab it. Let's give it a shot. Bear with me. There we go. This one over here is a wine mouth cross, and they just don't get much darker than that. It's always hard to get those black colors to come through on the cameras because our iPhone is always trying to brighten things up. But they are nearly black on the interiors, and you can see all of these are siblings in this row. And there's only two that are insanely dark red. This one's also very beautiful. Maybe that's in the contenders there. And then in this other cross here, I really like these. These are other wine mouth crosses, but I'm loving the rusty colors with the yellow edge. That one there has a lot of potential to me too. So we're gonna watch these. These aren't gonna hit our webpage for a little while. The whole process, everything I do takes years, but what will happen is that black one I can tell you right now is definitely gonna get a name. And then we'll prop that out, and then you'll probably see that for sale on our webpage in maybe 2 years, probably something like that. We're going as fast as we can, but these are plants, they're slow. What are these things? These are Disa orchids from South Africa. There are numerous different species, many of them very strange and weird. Those ones aren't in cultivation at all. But we do have all of these. Many of them are crosses with uniflora and some other species. But in the old days, we only really had one called Q-foam, and it was a red, very similar to this seedling right here. But now we've been able to source some really amazing, vivid colors. And then of course, I'm crossing them again and making our own. This amazing pink one in the center is one that we made here. One of the parents I know is this one here, which is a Cuensis. I love this plant with the white bonnet and the dark, the insanely bright pink lower petals. We have some oranges over here that are just finishing up. This large orange is San Francisco. And that tall orange, I think that one's just about done, but that one's California's Gold. There's these little yellow ones here, and we cross with those too. And we have a bunch of these potted up. We're fertilizing them, bringing them up. We want to get them some great momentum on them, but keep checking our webpage because probably 6 to 8 weeks, we're gonna have some amazing oranges, yellows, pink Disa for you guys to try at home too. And we've done care videos on these as well, so don't be intimidated by those orchid growers that tell you that they're impossible. They're not. So here we are back with the Byblis, or the Byblis. Take your pick. I'm gonna be honest, these have been a little tricky to ship for us. I knew they would be going into this because they are insanely delicate plants. It's basically like shipping dewdrop covered cobwebs to you. But we are pioneers at this, and we try not to be intimidated by new things. So we have been mailing them out. I know a few of you have been disappointed, especially in the linifloras and a couple of the aquaticas. I think because they're so small, they're just frying and shipping. So we're holding them back. We will be bringing a lot of these to the BACPS show and sale. That's Saturday. Come see us there for sure. We've been having great success shipping the Gehoas, mostly the filifolias. The larger species are getting there actually okay, but these little ones I'm gonna hang on to. I'm still hoping to get them a little bit bigger and ship them again in a month, and we're gonna try some new things. So don't give up hope. We haven't here, but just like with the dewy pines, we're the ones that figured out how to ship those, and we'll figure out how to ship these too. And if we absolutely fail at it, then we'll just start making a ton of seeds, and you guys can grow them from seeds at home. But don't worry, we'll get some Byblis in your hands one way or the other. But in the meantime, aren't they beautiful? Especially this time of day, when they're all just flowering en masse. Most of these are all Gehoai, and you can just see there is some variation in the color. There's a really beautiful dark one here. They will keep growing. They're gonna be like 2-3 feet tall. If you did manage to get some of these from us, fertilize them often. I'm foliar fertilizing these with a dilute orchid fertilizer every single week. You wanna do that too. They're annuals, and so the constant pushing of fertilizer is what's gonna make them grow quickly over the summer and make you a ton of seeds. The Gehoais, you will need 2 to make seeds, or it could just be an amazing, beautiful explosion of flowers that you enjoy all summer. Well worth the money spent there. And behind me are all of our Giganteas. Still not in flower, but I have hundreds of giganteas growing out for you, and that's a perennial species. We're gonna let them get nice and big and mossy before we ship those, because I don't want to have a repeat of the few problems we've had with the Linifloras. But I'm very confident that we'll be able to get these perennial species into your hands so that you can grow big, beautiful ones like this gigantea right here. They're so gorgeous and so flowery. Every day, I would say there's 10, 12, 15 flowers on this thing. And really a joy to grow, and I know you're going to love it too. There are lots of new Sarracenia hybrids coming to our webpage too. I know it's a little thin because the 2025 crosses, actually these are the new to 2025, but sown in 2024. Those crosses haven't really hit the webpage yet. I would say maybe a half a dozen have. And just to show you a little bit about my process, we have a few of the crosses from last year here. And what I'm trying to do is get them up to a decent size for you guys. And I call a decent size something like this. We're doing that in only a year or two, which is much faster than we used to and much faster than most nurseries because we just have great genetics and great momentum on these things. They're being perfectly raised. And then the other thing is I have to go through and look for those future cultivars because honestly, you know, we have to keep the best ones here, give them a name so that we can continue to breed with those and make even better plants for you guys. And also, you know, some people are beginners, and so, you know, I want you to get the best plants possible. And don't worry, the seconds, the thirds, you know, I'm only taking the best one out. And then all the other ones are also fantastic. But it would be a shame if that went to somebody's dark office and just got lost and nobody ever knew that this amazing plant existed. And it's not a selfish thing necessarily, although there's a wee bit of that because I'm also a crazy collector and I want to keep the best ones for me. I mean, putting a lot of work into this. I mean, you do the same thing too. But also, the plants that stay with me are the plants that will eventually get into your collections through divisions and breeding better plants. And so we have to keep the very, very best ones. But I've already pulled them out of, say, this cross here, which is Ember by Saurus. Ember is an amazing sit cross from Jerry Addington. Saurus is a huge dark red, black-lipped Murai that Phil Felizi, the famous Sarracenia breeder, made. And I've crossed those two plants together to make these guys that have this bonnety, upward-facing lid, such beautiful diversity of color. And because of the Saurus, I will expect these to get 2 to 3 feet tall probably. Super excited to release these, and they're coming soon. Over here, what are these again? So these are Mitch Dark Burgundy by Simone. Mitch Dark Burgundy was actually done in the 90s by Phil Felizi as well. It's a plant that I've crossed with for years. And Simone is another Jerry Addington plant. Like I said, I'm collecting from all the other plant breeders too. And then the fun of it here is I put them together, see what they make. And these ones, you can see there's such diversity in form and color. There's pinks, there's whites, there's golds and veiny, lots of dark red underneath the lid because of the Simone. But these are really beautiful, and again, coming to our webpage soon. I know everything I do takes a long time. I'm a patient guy, and if you want to be plant people too, patience is definitely a currency here. You're going to have to polish up those patience skills. One of my famous quotes that's becoming ever more popular in these videos is, don't freak out. And so I want to talk about another thing not to freak out about. This is a beautiful Drosera California sunset, and they have a hibernacula in the winter that's often kind of fuzzy, but even after they start to grow, and it's going to set this down so Daniela can get up close, even after they start to grow, you can see there's all that fuzziness in the middle. Don't freak out about that. If you're new to this, I know you're going to think, oh, you know, maybe that's spider mite webbing, maybe that's mold. It isn't. There's plenty of things in the plants themselves that can look a little weird, but have nothing to do with pests. And not everything is a pest. Just like in nature, our nursery exists in a dynamic ecosystem of all kinds of creatures. And not every mite is a spider mite. Not every web is a spider mite web. In fact, spider mites, you're going to see damage well before you see webbing. If you see webbing, you're looking at the Los Angeles of spider mites. So by that point, the plant is already going to be very messed up because there's been so much spider mite activity, and now they're building skyscrapers. So if you see a little webbing on the top of your soil, don't freak out about that either. It's almost certainly a tiny spider. Also, fungus gnat larvae will make some webbing on the soil, and a big mature plant like that is never going to get hurt by a fungus gnat. Fungus gnats are really only problems for tiny, tiny little seedling plants. And something like that, I'm not worrying about it at all. There's also a whole world of soil mites, predatory mites that aren't spider mites. They aren't sucking on the leaves and doing damage. So if you see a fast moving orange mite, don't worry about that either. Spider mites are almost so tiny, unless you have a magnifying glass or crazy young eyes, you're definitely not going to see them. So if you see it, it's probably fine. And like I said, unless the plant's super suffering, probably wouldn't worry about the webbing either. So we're wrapping up our seasonal check-in, and I wanted to come over and look at the Calicarn veggie beds. I just got these new raised beds installed and filled over the last few weeks, and I grew all of these plants from seeds. I love growing things from seeds, and I also love growing my own food. It was I followed a white rabbit down a rabbit hole a long time ago to find carnivorous plants, and for, I would say, a good decade, I didn't look too hard at any other normal plants. I'd always grown up with the beautiful veggie gardens and orchards, and so I've always been instilled with that love of growing my own food. But I didn't really stop and look around at other plants for like 10 years. I would encourage you to start opening new doors now. Now that you've noticed how amazing plants are because of carnivorous plants, and they really do that to people, because of their ability to catch and eat and their beauty, it's often a carnivorous plant that will catch people first. But you know what? All other plants are doing equally amazing and beautiful things. And so chase those other rabbit holes. Grow your own food. Learn about orchids, cactus, palms, grasses, ferns. Almost every single person here has their own passions that they're interested in. The more we broaden those passions and interests, the more interesting and passionate our lives are. There are no boring topics, there's only boring people. Maybe there's a few boring topics. I don't know, car insurance or something. But plants, there's this never ending diversity of interests and things you can learn about. And little Damon was interested in rocks and feathers and so many other animals and so many other natural things. But really, plants have this great diversity and so many different forms, and of course, growing all over the entire world. And so I would encourage you to broaden your horizons, go to a retail nursery and learn about some other plants. And obviously, there's tons and tons of other great videos out there. We love Epic Gardener on YouTube, and we're hoping someday to do some collaboration with him. But lots of great information out there. And if you like learning about my veggie garden, throw it in the comments and we'll keep checking in. I'll show you how to harvest these things and everything else that I do with them. It's work, but it's also really fun.